Might be a little bit smarter than I am. Better looking too. Hair looks good, Bob. Really good. None of them will ever love you the way that I do. It's just me and you. And as the years go by, our friendship will never die. You're gonna see it's our destiny. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. That's right. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. Oh yeah.
Welcome, everybody, and good evening, and welcome to the stream. I am so excited for tonight, and so good to see so many people in here. We're going to have a fun night. It is not every day that we get the opportunity to interview a true Disney legend, in the hearts of so many, a true Disney legend. And I know many of you have seen this guy before at Walt Disney World over at Port Orleans Riverside. Someone who is the highlight of so many people's trips, and definitely has been the highlight of my evenings many times. And well, no need to keep going on and on. We'll just welcome him to the stream. Everyone, please welcome to the stream my friend and yours, Yehaa Bob Jackson.
We love you, Cory. Oh, yes, we do. We love you, Cory. Oh, yes, we do. We love you, Cory. It's true. Oh, Cory, we love you. Hey, Bob! Hi, everybody.
So awesome, Bob. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. I really appreciate it very much.
My privilege and my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me onto your show. It's a pleasure to be here.
You got it. And before we get started tonight, I wanted to take a minute because I know sometimes these things run and long and then we're going to end right at the end and I won't get time to say it. So I want to say it right now. I want to give you such a big thank you for everything that you do for us at Walt Disney World and for so many others, even outside of Walt Disney World. People come to Walt Disney World with their families and they come there to make memories that'll last a lifetime. And you help make those memories for so many families and for me personally. So I really appreciate it. And on behalf of everyone here in the chat, we want to thank you very much for everything that you do for us.
Well, thank you so much for the kind words. It's a privilege to be able to perform, and it's my passion. And I love people, and I love to entertain, and I love to help people have a great time.
Yeah, it's for people to learn more about Bob Jackson and how this all began, how this started. I know a lot more about you just in doing research, talking to you, and then doing research for this show. And I really want to share more of that with our audience that may only know you from over at River Roost. So I figure the best way is to we'll just start way back at the beginning and talk about where are you from originally?
I was born in Dayton, Ohio. I grew up in a little town southeastern Ohio, Cambridge, Ohio. Right here, Cambridge. I don't know if you can see it. There's Cambridge right there on my button. It looks like it's backwards. Well, anyway. So I grew up there, and I went down to University of Cincinnati. I was a music composition major at the Conservatory of Music. And I started playing music on the road, and I was an itinerant musician for many years. Married a singer, and we traveled abroad. We were living in Europe. We needed to find a place to settle down. Our son was 3. We were in Norway. And my dad sent me an advertisement. They were auditioning piano players in Orlando. And this was in 1991. And so we moved to Orlando in 1991. I joined the Rosie O'Grady's Dixieland Band down at Church Street Station. And I played down there for a couple of years. And some of the musicians in the band were working out at Disney, and they invited me to come to work at Disney. So I went out there and auditioned and got a job playing the piano in the Diamond Horseshoe Show. This is about 1993, 1994. It was a really fun show. We had can-can girl dancers, we had male dancers, we had magicians, we had a four-piece band. And that was my first Disney experience about 1994. And I subbed over at the Hoop-de-Doo. And then the show fell apart there at the Diamond Horseshoe. They reorganized, and they hired me to be the 2-day piano player. Most of those shows have a 5-day band and a 2-day band. And so I was a 2-day band there at the Diamond Horseshoe for years. And just through that experience, I got to play all the different parts. I got to play the Hoop-de-Doo. I used to sub at the Coke Corner, ragtime piano. One of my most fun experiences when I got to sub at the Tarzan show. I don't know if any of you were ever able to see the Tarzan show over at the Animal Kingdom, but that was.
I never got a chance to see it, but it was from what I've seen. I've watched videos with like the people on roller skates and stuff.
Yeah, we had
kinds of stuff.
We had a cast of like 50. The backstage show was as much as interesting as the onstage show, but we had a 6-piece band, and these stunt skaters would come down off the ceiling, and they had ramps on either side of the band, and they'd be doing flips right over the band. I'd be playing and looking at these guys, these young men doing flips. It was mostly, and then Tarzan and Jane, and so it was really fun, and the band was like so good and so exciting. So that was fun. That was a fun show. But I've been at Port Orleans now almost 23 years. It'd be 23 years in May if we were still open. So I've got a 23-year anniversary coming up.
What date is that in May?
I don't even know.
Just sometime in May. We just celebrate the whole month of May.
Sometime in May it'll be my 23rd year.
That's amazing. Congratulations on that. Early congratulations. That is quite a feat.
It's been a hoot.
And before we get into that show, just a little bit more about kind of how did you get started on piano? Like, did music run in your family? Is that something that you started really, really young?
Yeah, there's been musicians in my family for hundreds of years. My namesakes, Robert Jackson Jr., Robert Jackson Sr., were both band leaders in the Civil War. They led bands out of Fort Leavenworth. They're both buried up there in the Army Cemetery. They both served in the Civil War. Robert Jackson Sr., Robert Jackson Jr. So I've been, there's been musicians on both sides of my family for years and years.
And so is piano like your only instrument, or do you play other instruments as well?
I played the brass instruments. I was in junior high school, and the band director said, Jackson, you know how to read bass clef? I said, yeah. He said, come here. And he gave me a tuba. He said, with a tuba. He said, don't come back until you learn how to play this. So I played the tuba all the way through middle school, high school, and into college. And then, I don't know if you've ever seen my show. Well, you saw me tonight with this, for this ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was holding back to not, I was waiting for you to ask how your hair was. So yeah, I could say it looks good, Bob.
It's not messed up at all, is it? Perfect.
It's not.
If you've ever been at Port Orleans at Christmas time, Disney goes nuts at Christmas. They've got a 65-foot Christmas tree in the atrium there at Port Orleans, and they always have these huge, oversized Christmas ornaments, big balls. And one year they had plastic trumpets as an ornament. And I had to walk by this tree every night to get into the lounge. And one night I just grabbed this plastic trumpet off this tree, and I took it into the lounge and I blew it. Everybody laughed and they thought it was funny. I blew it again. Everybody laughed. So it dawned on me that I've got to figure out a way to work a bugle or a trumpet into my show. So that's the story of this bugle. It came off the Christmas tree out of Port Orleans. And now Disney buys. So cool. They buy me these bugles on eBay for like $15 because I go through about 4 of them a year.
Really? What makes the bugle like go bad? I don't know a lot about it.
I'm an animal. I drop it. I step on it. It gets under the piano. I rock on it. I'm an animal on stage. I perform standing up. you know, and the piano tuner is number 6 on my speed dial. I mean, he's always out there because I'm breaking strings, I'm breaking hammers, I'm breaking stuff all the time. I mean, he gets paid for coming out. He loves to come out. Bob, what'd you break today? And, you know, off he comes. You know, he's a great guy. He's been tuning my pianos for 23 years.
Wow. So you still playing on the same piano today that you started with?
No, I've gone through probably 4, maybe 5 pianos.
Wow. Wow.
And they're great pianos.
Pretty
These
amazing.
Yamaha U3s are built, but they're not built for the abuse that I give them. You know, I perform standing up and I push it with my knees, so this thing's constantly moving. I'm constantly climbing around. And, yeah, so it's a high energy show, and that poor piano, no, it takes a beating.
So jumping back a little bit to your earlier years, when did you actually start writing and composing music? When did that become something that that you became interested in?
I've been writing, composing music, you know, all my life. I was a music composition major in college. So, I mean, I love to write for strings. I love to write for orchestra. My mother's side of the family is Hungarian, so I'm very interested in Bela Bartok and all the East European classical music. You know, I've always been interested in that. When we lived in Finland and Sweden, I've always enjoyed, you know, learning and listening to all those different kind of folk songs. And so I'm very interested in composing. I've got, I think, four of my own CDs out. And I see we're streaming on YouTube. This is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
After the show, Cory, if they would go over there and subscribe to my channel, it'd be a beautiful thing.
Yes, absolutely, guys. Right now in the description of the video is all of Bob's links. So you can go subscribe to Bob on YouTube, go follow him on all the social media networks, and I just dropped in his web address here, bobjacksonmusic.com. That's where you can go and buy his CDs, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. His original music, which I have been enjoying so much. But also, guys, tonight I forgot to mention right at the beginning of the show, I personally would like for you to, instead of any super chats tonight, there is a link right in the description as well to Bob's tip jar. And we appreciate Bob so much for being on the show here tonight with us and for all that he's done for us throughout the years. And the least that we can do is send him a little something over in his tip jar. So make sure to utilize that link during the stream tonight.
Cory, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's a privilege to be able to perform for you.
Yeah, we really appreciate you. So I wanted to talk a little bit because I thought it was really interesting because I did some research on Dick Hyman, and I know you had mentioned that he was a part of your life and a part of your musical influence. And I did some research and found out, like, I mean, talk about accolades. That guy is a very famous American jazz composer. Worked with some amazing people, including Bob Jackson. Tell me about kind of how you got to know him and how all that came to be.
Well, I'm an old guy. I'll be 67 here in a couple of weeks. But back in the 1980s, I had a little pencil thin mustache, and I had my hair slicked back, and I always drove a 1955 Fleetwood Cadillac, and I was stuck in a time warp. I would only listen to the music from the 1920s and 30s and 40s, mostly the 1930s. I'm left-handed, so I'm really interested in the old stride piano, the period of music right after ragtime. So I love ragtime. Ragtime would be like a... living down in Sarasota, Florida, and Dick Hyman, who was always a big influence on me in his recordings, had a house in Venice, Florida, which was just right down the street. So I was bold. I just went down there and basically knocked on his door and said, "Hey, Dick, you know, I'm a piano player. I want to teach me something." And so Dick took me under his wing, and he's written all kinds of movie music, and he had all these scores. He had a house. He had a house right next to. He had two houses. The house next door, he had two grand pianos and all his music. So and he never charged me a penny. He never charged me a penny, and I would sit there at his elbow, and he was an expert at the old music from the 1920s. I played one of the songs that he would show me. This is an old song called Kitten on the Keys. It was from 1921. It goes like this.
Wow, that is awesome, Bob. Thank you so much for that. And so you reminded me of something. You talked about the pencil thin mustache, and so I brought this up. I think you know the video that I've queued up here. I think this was back in the '80s, and this is on your YouTube channel. And playing a song called "I Found a New Baby." And I want everyone to see just a little clip of this video. I'm gonna flip over to it here really quick. So what I want to point out to everyone here is that how much does Bob look like Walt Disney right here? Like a young Walt.
Yeah, look at. Can you get it to go?
What's that, Bob? Do I still have you there, Bob? Looks like I might have lost you for a second. I think we might have lost Bob, guys, temporarily. So hang tight. We'll see if we can get him back here. But I hope everyone is enjoying tonight so far. It has been fantastic spending time with Bob and learning. And there he is. Welcome back, Bob. We had a little bit of a glitch there.
No worries.
So yeah, great. It really like stepping back in time watching that. And so was that like in the mid '80s when you made that video?
Did you get to show it to the folks?
Yeah, everyone was watching it.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Yeah, that was probably 1985. So I would have been about about 32 years old.
Wow. And yeah, I really like, as soon as I saw it for the first time and you turn and you look at the camera with that mustache and the hair slicked back, I'm like, it's like a young Walt Disney. I was like,
yeah,
it's
I love
Walt. It's so cool. I really enjoyed that.
I'd still have my little pencil thin. You know, it's fun. I've been able to last couple years ago. I was invited out to Marceline. I performed right there at Walt's house. And I'm supposed to go back this May. I'm supposed to be there in May 23rd. I'm supposed to be performing there at in Marceline. But the house is owned by this private residence. But this the lady, she invited me in, so I got to go upstairs and actually see where Walt Disney grew up. I got to see his room and his bed and all this stuff. It was crazy.
That's awesome. Yeah, I actually I've never made it out there, but it's something that I really want to do. I've heard it's just that whole town is just beautiful of Marceline.
It looks like it was what he used for Main Street USA. It looks like Main Street.
That's awesome. I definitely want to make it out there sometime. So we talked about kind of your love for composing and how you started composing. Again, how many CDs do you have now?
I got 12 out. I just put a new one out.
And so the new one that you just put out came out either January or February, right?
Yeah, I can't remember. You know.
And I was telling Bob how much I enjoy. There it is, right there, The Journey. I enjoyed this album so much, guys, and it is just my style of music. It's very uplifting and relaxing, something great to listen to while you're working, and it's a fantastic album. So go check it out. You can go purchase those right on his website. And Bob, I was going to ask you if you wouldn't mind playing something original for us. We've heard you play so much at River Roost, playing Disney songs and kind of those classic like sing-along songs. But I want to hear something original to you, something that you're really proud of that you wrote.
Well, you know what? I don't really have anything prepared, but I love to improvise. So how about if I just make something up right now? We'll call it Cory Meets World. Cory Meets World. What do you say?
It sounds perfect to me.
All right, I'm just going to sit here. It's going to take me a minute to chill out a little bit.
That was absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Your screen froze there for a second, Bob, so I didn't know if you were done yet or not. So I was just kind of waiting for a moment. That was absolutely beautiful. And wow, thank you so much. Thank you for that. We really, really, really appreciate that. And you might have to oh, there you go. Now you're back. I can see it now. It seems to buffer in a little bit on your end.
Yeah.
Hey, we're all stuck. We're all stuck in our houses, so this is what we've resorted to, right? Is just play it over the stream. But that was beautiful, Bob. Thank you so much.
I could sit and make that up all night. We could sit here until midnight tonight. I just sit there.
That is amazing. That is amazing. It's a gift. It truly is a gift that you can't, as much as you can, learn music theory and learn technique from people. That's a natural gift. That you have, that is just
it just comes out.
It's amazing. It's so amazing. Yeah. Well, thank you for that. You had given us kind of that background of how you got started with Disney at the Golden Horseshoe, and then kind of working your way through some of those other positions. What led to landing this amazing, like you said, almost 23-year run now at Port Orleans Riverside?
I was playing after Rosie's fell apart. I got a job at a big Julian piano, blazing pianos. It was back in the 1990s, and it was a really fun show. We had 3 bright red concert grand Yamaha pianos on the stage, and I was working with some there, and one of the subs, he said, "Bob, I'm going to go to Las Vegas, and if you want to audition, you can go get a job." So I went out to Port Orleans to look at it, and there wasn't a show there. Lounge was a holding room for the dining room. They just people would sit there, wait for their table. They'd leave room to attend. I could probably make a show there. So I started writing a show, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it just took on a life of its own, and off we go. That's how I got there. So
that's awesome.
It's been really interesting. So
did you get to kind of? Oh yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, well, at the time, I wasn't doing any Disney music at all. One night I went in, and there was all these people sitting there, and they weren't drinking; they were just sitting. And I said, "What's going on?" I said, "Well, these people are holding the tables because John Lasseter is coming, and when John Lasseter shows up, they're all going to stand up and leave. Even John's party." I had no idea who John Lasseter is, and there was people over there who I knew who wanted to come and watch the show, and some guy is screwing it up. So okay, fine. And here he comes. He's coming in with this big party, and it was the weirdest thing because it was in this front section. The whole section stands up and leaves at the same time, and these other people come in and sit down. Well, I was upset because, well, first of all, I'd never heard of John Lasseter, and so I thought to myself, okay, pal, you want to see a show? You're going to be in the show. So I've got a part in the show where I do Ghost Riders in the Sky, and I grab a bunch of guys and I make them run around the room. And then I got another part in the show where I do the old song Shout, and they have to get down on the floor and roll around. And so okay, I knew it was John Lasseter. So John had to leave. He had to run around the room like he's riding a horse. I had John Lasseter riding around the room. I had John Lasseter rolling around on the floor. And I'd never heard John Lasseter. So okay, they were all happy. They were all happy, you know. I'll forget it if they all left. And I go home and I Google John Lasseter. It's like, OMG, I had this guy from Pixar, you know. So okay, so he came back. So it dawned on me that I wasn't doing any Disney songs at all. I was doing Zippity Doo Dah. It was my entire Disney repertoire was Zippity Doo Dah. And so I went on this Disney music binge where all I learned. So now, and then John came back probably 8 times. And John would come and he'd bring his family, he'd bring his kids, and he'd bring Imagineers, and he brought so many people. I don't even know who these people are because they make me nervous. I don't want to know their names. He would come and sit in the front row, pull his chair up to the stage, and sit there with his feet propped up on the stage and singing Pixar songs. So I went on a Disney binge, and now I'm pretty much doing a Disney show. I want to try to do as much Disney as I can. And so that was fun.
I think it's a great mix that you do of music. You have all the Disney music that that people love, and it gets all the little ones involved. But then you have some of those, like Billy Joel songs, the stuff like that really
And
kind of connects everyone. It's like a little bit for everybody to enjoy. But I have to take a second because you mentioned John Lasseter and like getting his involvement in kind of the physical part of the show, because the show is very much like audience involved, like and I think, and I was going to ask you kind of about how you keep it fresh, and I kind of know the answer to that, because every time I've been, you play so much off the audience that the show just kind of evolves based on who's in the room. And a story that kind of the moment that I'll never forget is the very first time that I came to see you, and you came in, you kind of set your stuff down and started doing that, kind of walking around the lounge, meeting everyone, getting to know everyone's name.
I got to go get the plug. You play that thing. I got to go get a plug.
Okay, I will too. We don't want to go dead. So what I was going to say is that, Bob will walk around the entire lounge and get to know everyone. He asks everyone's name, kind of, are you celebrating anything? And then he remembers all of this and incorporates all of that into the show, which is, it was mind blowing to see, because those of you who have been there, he remembers everything and he remembers everyone's name. And so what I'll never forget, though, was the time that Bob walks up to the table. The first time I was at the show, he asked me my name. I tell him, hi, I'm Cory. And he looks me right in the eye and he says, I'm glad you're here. And he goes, I'm going to play my best show tonight, my best show that I've ever played. I'm going to play it for you tonight. And ever since I've been, he said that same thing to me. And it's what makes this show so special, is that that's what Bob goes into these shows with, is with that enthusiasm that tonight I'm going to play just as good as I've ever played, if not better. And that's what makes those so incredible. But with John Lasseter and the involvement there, it made me remember, again, one of those times when I was there. And I want you guys to take a look at what happened when Bob called me out of the audience.
And I need my good friend Cory to stand at the end of the bar back there, Cory, till I call for you. Just stand back there. I'll get to you in a minute. And every time I say the word see, we need everybody on this side of the room to make binoculars and look around, and Cory is going to run up and down in front of the bar, Cory, making binoculars. Running all the way, Cory, running back, making binoculars. When I call your name, Cory, here we go. The green grass goes all around, the green grass goes on. It was a tree, in the woods lake, the nicest tree, Cory! And let's see, run all the way down, Cory, come on, you can do it. Running and making binoculars, running really quick, come on, and turning around and running all the way back. Good. A tree in the woods, and the green grass goes all around, green grass goes. And on that tree, there was one branch, like Cory! And let's see, that's the tree, both arms, everybody, both arms, tree in the ground, and the green grass all around, green grass goes. I'll catch the tree in the ground, and the green grass all around, green grass goes all around. Yeah! Give it up for Cory, he's a good sport. One more time for Cory, yeah!
That was definitely a highlight for me, Bob. I really, really enjoyed that night and had so much fun. And I am not, as much as I do this YouTube stuff and these videos and stuff, I would not consider myself the outgoing person that's just going to jump up and be dancing. But there's something about how you approach it, and you make it so relaxing and so inviting that everyone just wants to be involved. They just kind of leave any of that behind and just jump right up and do some of the craziest stuff I've ever seen any people do on your show. So it's so much fun. I can't stress enough how enjoyable it is. But it kind of, like I was talking about before, how do you kind of go into it with that kind of energy every night and keep it fresh?
One of my favorite sayings, quotes from Walt Disney was, give the people everything you can give them. Make it a real fun place to be. And I've actually got that quote on a little plaque that sits behind me there on stage there at Port Orleans. And when I start my show and lift up the box and get stuff ready for the show, I set it up, and that little plaque keeps me company for the entire show. Give the people everything you can give them. Make it a real fun place to be. So that's what we do every night there at Port Orleans, is put the pedal to the metal, and I leave everything I've got on that stage as far as emotion and physical, everything I've got. I'm going to leave it right there.
It's amazing, and you really do. It is like you do some intermissions where people can come up and meet with you, and I've got an autograph picture from you, which I treasure. It's one of my favorite Disney collectibles, and it's so much fun. But I mean, yeah, like the first time after the first set, I come up and Bob is he's sweating like he ran a marathon. I mean, he is up there so physically putting everything he has into. And I remember the first question I asked you was, how do you get the piano to rock? And I'll let you tell the people what you told me, because it's very simple.
Yeah, there's no secret. I took the wheels off of it. So it's a big old upright, and I took the wheels off of it, and now it sits flat. It's only about 1.5 feet wide, and it's about 5 feet tall and 600 pounds. And you just push it. You push it with your knee, it'll rock 3 times. You push it again, it'll rock 3 times. It's an old trick. Guys have been rocking pianos for 150 years. The boys down in New Orleans at the turn of the century, last century, they've been rocking pianos for a long time.
And it adds so much. It adds so much to the show. It really does. The physical elements add so much to the show. Like you standing up on your bench and all of that. It's just it just makes it so incredible. But I'm definitely gonna go back to the comment about the plaque on the wall, because I know what that plaque was from, and I want to talk about that for a minute, because it's very special. And so this is the official definition that I have for the Walt Disney Legacy Award. And I just want to read that so everyone knows what this is. That the Walt Disney Legacy Award recognizes cast members around the world who embody the values behind the award of dream, create, and inspire. It says cast members are selected for the way they uphold Disney tradition and excellence and represent a commitment to the values prized by Walt himself. Recipients are nominated by coworkers and receive an iconic blue name tag that distinguishes them from other cast members. And as I read that, Bob, I get like goosebumps, like reading that myself, just kind of putting myself in your shoes and what it must feel like to receive something like that. Not only because it represents the values of the man who started this all, but also because it's something that's given to you by your peers. What does that mean to you?
Well, it means everything in the world. It's a privilege to be able to perform there and entertain. And to be honest, blue name tag or no blue name tag, my show would not change a single solitary bit. When I first received this thing, I was one of the first class to receive it, and I live in a bit of a bubble there. I don't work during the daytime at the park, so I'm not involved in a lot of the loop. And I back in 2013, I had never even heard of the Legacy Award, and they came in, Bob, you've won an award. And so, okay, what is it? Oh, we got a blue name. Oh, okay, got a blue name tag. Yeah, I got a picture of Walt. I hung a picture up Walt. I don't mean to demean it at all, but I had to go home and study what in the world I just won, because I was one of the first people that got this thing. So it really is an honor to be awarded this thing. The company really doesn't give it to you. You have to be nominated by your peers, by all your fellow cast members. So it really is an honor to be have a Legacy Award. Really and truly,
it really is amazing. And if there is like a blueprint for the type of cast member that deserves that award, you are the blueprint for that, and rightfully so that you were one of the first to receive it, because in my mind, true Disney legend. And so as
I'm humbled. I don't do it for myself. I love to entertain. I loved people always, who are the famous people you've met? Well, I don't know. I'm not there for the famous people. I'm there to lift people up, people that are having problems, fighting disease. I've got all kinds of friends with all kinds of personal problems, and I'm there for them. I really don't care about prestige or any of that. All I want to do is to lift people up and to make it a little better place.
So in the, you mentioned that you it's something that's nominated by your peers. It kind of got me thinking, because you've been there so long. Are there any cast members that still work there at Port Orleans that were working there when you started?
Well, one of my buddies, my best buddy there, John Shorthill, he's been there probably the longest. He's been there 15 years.
Wow.
And I'm getting into my 23rd.
Yeah.
So he's been with me the longest time. But yeah, there's a lot of guys and gals, 30 years, been there 30 years at Disney. Yeah. They make a career out of it. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and Port Orleans itself is such a beautiful resort. It's one of the most themed resorts on property, for sure. One more thing about the show before I ask you some Disney stuff. Your costume, do you make any of that, or is there a company you buy those from exactly how they are?
Back in the 80s, I'd always wear a zoot suit. I'd have big baggy pants and suspenders and fedoras. I'd wear a fedora. I've got a whole collection of hand-painted neckties in my closet from the 1930s and 40s. And when I started working there, I provided my own costume. My wife likes to sew, and she would sew my costumes. And Disney decided that they were going to take over, and so now Disney provides me with these costumes. And actually, Disney, I think they made this. They made the tie, but they might have even made the fabric. It's got a hidden Mickey. You can see it. Can you see it?
I had never noticed the hidden Mickey there before.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I got a hidden Mickey on my tie.
I never know. It looks like one of the Mickey hats. That's really cool.
Hidden Mickey.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
In the chat, let us know. Has anyone noticed that before? Because I've never noticed. That's really cool.
They actually made the fabric for that.
Somewhere out there in some warehouse in Disney, there's a big roll of Yehaa Bob tie fabric.
Yeah.
That we used to make all these ties. That's amazing.
It is. It's nuts.
So as we talk about Disney, everyone here in the chat, they vacation to Disney all the time. It's like it's their passion. It's their favorite place on earth. How often do you get to make it into the parks just to kind of wander around, experience the attractions? Is that something you do regularly?
Well, when my kids were little, my kids are adults now, but when they were growing up, we took full advantage of being out there. We went out, practically every other weekend. And I spent a lot of time. And then since I've worked out there, I used to work for Horseshoe, and I'd spend, 2, 3, 4 days a week driving to Disney, driving home from Disney, driving, going into the tunnels and going around. So I don't get out there as often as I did, but I've spent, countless hours at all the different parks. Yeah, I used to work over at Epcot, and I don't know if anybody's worked at Epcot, but there's all the way around. You have to get on a bus and ride all the way around, and it's really an interesting place. And all the backstage areas of all the parks are really, really fun to see. But I've spent 23 years working out there, so it's hard to fool me on any of it.
Yeah, I'm sure. As we kind of wind down here, because we got some questions that I want to get to from the chat really quick. But I wanted to talk briefly just about kind of your life outside of the Yehaa Bob show that you do. I know you do some charity work with a charity that's very near and dear to us. We've actually done some streams and been a part of some fundraisers to raise some money for Give Kids the World, which I think is an incredible organization. And I know you do some work out there. So I wanted to have you talk a little bit about Give Kids the World.
Well, Give Kids the World is a resort for children with life-threatening diseases and their families. And it's interesting because everything is free for them. The accommodations are free, all the different theme parks, Universal, SeaWorld, Disney, everybody chips in. So the families and the kids can go to all the parks for free, and everything's for free, and which is great because a lot of them are quite needy, and it's really an interesting place. I've been working down. I go down once a month. Everybody volunteers. Everybody, I go down and volunteer and put on these children's shows, and it's really fun in the dining room because everything is geared to a 3 and 4 year old. So all the seats and their moms and dads and everybody has to sit on these tiny seats. Everybody's sitting on these seats that you'd see in like a kindergarten, and the food buffet is exactly what a 4 or 5 year old kid would want. You've got tater tots, macaroni and cheese, you've got hot dogs, French fries, and they've got a 24-hour ice cream bar.
That is so awesome. Yeah, I haven't had like I said, we've done some streams to raise money and been up. We actually ran the 10K as part of the team for Give Kids the World, and but haven't had the chance to go out and actually volunteer there at the village. So we're definitely going to do that.
It's interesting.
So outside of that, and I know you're very involved in your church as well, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
You play every week at your church, right?
Right up the street. You can see it from here. But it's we're staying away from there too during the virus. And
I know it.
Today I'm recording the music, so I have to record all the music for the service and send it over to the minister so she can play it for the Sunday service. So I'm still recording all the music for the church. But
and you do that weekly, correct?
Yeah, I've been up there for 27 years at this tiny little church. It's a beautiful little church right here in
That is so awesome. I really admire that. That is the dedication to doing that on a weekly basis. I know what that is. I am the song director at my church, so I lead the music at my church every Sunday. So very, very cool and near and dear to my heart as well. So outside of all of that, I know you love to travel, and anyone who goes and looks at your blog on your website can see kind of some of those pictures from your travel. And also, just before the stream, me and Bob were talking, and I'm like, "What'd you do today?" "Oh, nothing, just a 22-mile bike ride." I'm like, "What?" Bob is you wonder how he gets all this energy, and he's jumping all around stage. Bob's working out every day and in incredible shape. Something to definitely to look up to and to strive for when you're. I think you said you're going on 67.
Yeah, I'll be 67 in a couple of weeks in June.
67, and Bob is in shape.
Yeah.
And so all these trips that you go on and stuff. Tell me about like one of your most memorable recent trips that you did.
Yeah, the wildest one was I've been on so many ridiculous, crazy. My music has taken me on so many fun adventures. But last year, in October, I flew to Beijing, China. I traveled by myself. My wife doesn't want to go to China. It's my second trip to China. And I traveled, I did a solo trip all the way across China, across seven provinces of China by train. I went all the way over to Lhasa in Tibet. And there I joined a group of other solo travelers. And we traveled all the way to the Mount Everest base camp. And we spent a night in a hut there at Mount Everest base camp last October. And so that was quite an adventure. And then I had to find my way home. And that was another adventure because all the flights were canceled. But that was a truly adventure, making my way all the way over to Lhasa. I was supposed to go on another adventure this spring, but with the virus and all, here I am sitting. You guys are looking at this ugly mug.
Oh no, we really, really appreciate it. And what we, when we do streams in the park every week, and do, dining reviews and stuff. And when kind of this whole thing happened and we have to stream from home now, I'm like, it just wasn't the same. And then we started, and then I realized what we're doing, this is just like we're bringing Disney to people every week from in the parks on the streams. Well, we can still keep that Disney going and still help to feed that love and keep this community together. And you being here tonight just is another part of that, where we're bringing this to people who are stuck in their houses. They can't go out and they can't. Many people here in this chat right now have had to cancel their vacations because of this virus. But they're getting to see you here tonight, so it's amazing. So I got a few questions that I want to ask you here in the chat. But really quick before I do, I wanted to see, what is your favorite song to play in your show, and could you play a little bit of it for us here tonight?
Oh, you're funny. Well, I love it. I don't know. Let's see here. Them 40 features on 1,000 tales. Are you in luck as a dog that never fails? Sometimes when you're calling out so many ammunition in your camp, got some punch pizzazz, yeah, who and how? All you gotta do is rub that lamp and I'll see. Mr. Adamson, what will your pleasure be? Let me take your order, jot it down. You ain't never had a friend like me, no. Life is your restaurant, I'm your maitre d'. Whisper what it is, what you ain't never had a friend like me. Just say we pride ourselves on service. You're the boss, the king shot. What you wish to show is have a little more baklava. Have some of the column A, try all the column B. I'm in the mood to help you, dude. You ain't never had a friend like me. Sing it for me. Can you do that? Can you pull this? My little hat. Can you go? Looky here. And go abracadabra, love a rip, make a figure disappear. Sit this at your boogie out of it, answer your noonday prayer. Got me bona fide, certified, you gotta do you 40,000 pair. Got a powerful urge to help you out to shout and wanna know. Got a listen 3 miles long, no doubt. All you gotta do is run like so, and I'll say, Mr. Adamson, I'm gonna shut 2 or 3. I'm on the job, you big name up. Never had it for nothing, you can never have it for nothing. You ain't never had a friend like me. Never had a friend like me.
Excellent. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Bob. Man, I feel like I'm at the show. I'm excited now, like all pumped up. I love the food. Also, being foodies, we love the food at River Roost. So I love coming in there and getting a burger or wings and then just enjoying your show. It's so much fun. But thank you for that. So a few questions while we got a couple more minutes here. Nick from Magical News Live wants to know if Bob could describe his job at Walt Disney World with one word. What would that one word be?
Energetic.
There you go. It is a very energetic show and tons of fun.
Entertaining might be a better one. Yeah. Entertaining.
It's Joey's World asked, have you ever had any crazy mishaps while on stage?
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you fell off. Have you ever fell off of that bench standing on it?
There's been so many ridiculous. So I've had people. I used to have them climb up on their chairs and shout and wave, and this one lady went up on her chair and she shouted and waved, and they got these chandeliers up there. She knocked the chandelier completely out, and then I'll do this other. I'll get people up, to do a conga line around the room, and this lady led the conga line out of the hotel, down all the way down to the swimming pool. Just stuff. I could go on and on and on and on.
That's awesome. Pam wants to know, where do you play when you're not playing at River Roost? Also, what do you like to do when you're not playing? We talked about your traveling, but outside of like Give Kids the World, is there anywhere else that you play regularly like you do at Disney?
Every summer, the Orange County, I live in Orange County here in Central Florida. Orange County has me go out and put on children's shows for their summer reading program. And so every summer I'm involved in as many as 15 different libraries around Central Florida. I'll go play all these libraries around. And then I'm at Disney 4 nights a week, and on my nights off, I pick up a lot of parties. There's all these senior retirement 55 plus places around Central Florida. So I keep real busy with that. I keep busy up at the church, do a lot of parties, and really I keep busy all the time. There's very little downtime.
That's awesome. And it's good. It's great to keep busy and yeah,
Busy's good.
Yeah, it is. It is. Tim asked, so we talked about kind of your early life and your schooling and stuff, but I don't know if we mentioned where you actually went to college.
I went to the University of Cincinnati. They've got a conservatory there. It's a fantastic music school. I wish I would have applied myself a little more, because I was a young man and did all the young man stuff, but it's a great music school, and if anything, it taught me to be a little bit more disciplined. And now I practice piano. I'll practice at least an hour, sometimes even more, an hour and a half a day.
Wow.
I have to. I practice Bach. Play Bach and Beethoven and Mozart, and I'm learning new songs for the show. I'm learning. I told Cory before I started the show, what am I working on, Cory? What did I tell you? Oh, when I see an elephant fly.
Yes.
Nowhere to Go But Up from the new Mary Poppins movie. So I'm working up more Disney songs to add to my show. So I keep busy with my music all day long, and I love to work out. I work out every morning.
That's great. Rachel and Lynn both asked, I know we talked about some of those, the kind of memories, but do you have a favorite memory working at Walt Disney World, like one that just comes to mind?
Well, it's John Lasseter sitting in the front row with his feet on the stage. I mean, that's amazing. He's sitting there singing. He's singing the theme to Toy Story. Here's a guy who thought the whole thing up. He made the software to make that movie. He wrote it all. And here I've got him sitting as close to me as I could possibly be, with his feet on the stage and his eyes closed, singing this song. I mean, that's pretty crazy.
It's probably good that you didn't know who he was the first time, because it kind of like you didn't have those nerves. And then when he came back, it's like you've already played for him before. So
it's all downhill.
Well, that is, I know we're nearing our time here. And one more question that I have myself is, again, we're looking at this 23 years coming up next month. And we hope that you continue to be there for 23 more. We love you and love your show at Walt Disney World.
I love you right back.
My question for you is that, how do you want, like, one day you're going to retire and you won't be playing there anymore. And what do you want or hope that your legacy is? That how do you want people to always remember Yehaa Bob?
That they had a great time, that it was a family-oriented show, that generational, they were there with their grandparents, with their kids. I've got people your age coming up. Bob, I was here when I was a child with my grandparents, so I would love to be remembered as an entertainer, as a musician, and that I was able to lift people up of all generations.
And you will. And you say that, and it's interesting. We've been coming for a long time. I have never brought our little girls to the show, and you better believe as soon as Disney opens back up, we are going to bring our 2 little girls. We have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Perfect.
And I cannot wait to bring them to the show and just have a great time one night with you. So we're going to do that here very soon as this all opens back up. And we'll be out there to stream some more too, to bring everyone here more of your show in Walt Disney World. Well, again, Bob, thank you so much. It means so much to all of us that you would take your time to sit down with us and do this today. I really appreciate it. And I would love for you to play something to play us out here.
We love you, Cory. Oh, yes, we do. We love you, Cory. Oh, yes, we do. We love you, Cory. It's true. Oh, Cory, we love you.
Thank you so much, Bob. And guys, don't forget, go down into the description here and make sure that you subscribe and follow Bob on everything. Bob, a big congratulations to you. You just hit 900 subscribers on YouTube. So a very good congratulations there. And also, guys, don't forget that PayPal link. Go and tip Yehaa Bob, our good friend. Show him your support and all your love. And make sure next time you're here in Walt Disney World that you go see Mr. Yehaa Bob over at Port Orleans Riverside. Thank you again, Bob, so much. We really appreciate you being here and spending the time with us tonight. And we will see you next time. Everyone, we'll see you next week at 8 p.m. Eastern right here on the channel on YouTube. Thank you so much and have a fantastic week. Thank you, Bob.
Cory, appreciate it. Bye, everybody.
See you next time.